In the first part of the video, I started drawing the outline of the car. I used a previous project to base the outline off of. I'm looking at the car that I'm basing it off of and that I looked up on the internet. I had to use arches to make some of the curved body lines on the car, and I used straight ones to use the straight lines. This is where I start making the front grille and bumper section of the car. It took me a couple tries to do this, but I finally got it. This is where I start making the wheel wells of the car using an arch. When I got it perfect on the front, I just copy and pasted it and used it on the back. This part of the video, I was starting to make the rear trunk section and bumper section of the car. I tried copy and pasting the bumper from the front side, but that didn't look good enough, so I just used a polyline to draw it. Here I was just reconnecting all the body lines that somehow magically got separated. And now I'm trying to oddball windows, but that didn't work so well. But after a couple tries, I finally got it. This was probably the most frustrating part of the video, trying to make the windows, even though it should have been one of the most easy parts. Don't know why I had so much trouble with this. This is where I started making a decorative front grille for the car, but don't work out so well, so I just pretty much ditched the idea. Here I'm using the polyline to try and draw little squiggles in the front grille to make it look like an actual grille from a car, but since they're all uneven, I just deleted it. In this part of the video, I was trying to make a hood scoop out of a polyline, but then I just ended up using a curved line and a piece of a polyline. This is where I actually start coloring the car in using shapes, just filling them in wherever they fit, which I probably could have did this way quicker and way easier by using one big polyline, but that's my mistake. It was difficult to get into some tight places, but I managed. It wasn't too hard. Some parts it was pretty easy. You could just click fill on some of the spaces like I just did on the hood scoop. I don't know why this kept happening throughout the process of making this car, but some of the body lines would just separate and then I would just have to reconnect them. It was a pretty simple fix, but it was just a little bit annoying. Here's where I started to make the door handle of the car by just using some shapes and some arches, and then I just filled in the colors and then made them the size that I wanted them. To make the shape thicker, you can either use the blue square with the dots around it or the line thickness, and you can just make the number of pixels higher. Here's where I attempt to freehand the Chevy emblems on the rim. That doesn't go so well, so I end up just putting a bunch of shapes together and then tracing with a polyline and then using that. The reason I'm making another little circle on the inside is just to make the hubcap look a little better on the wheel. I fed the emblem into the wheel by shrinking it down using the blue rectangle, and then I copy and paste the wheel and put it on the back so they were both symmetrical. Now I'm just centering it in the middle of the page that I made it on, and that's about it. There's a final product compared to the other car that I based it off of.